All right, we are live. How are you doing? May what's for the highest good transpire. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the timestamps will be in the description. It's timeless for you when you see it. It is December 4th, if you were curious what day this was filmed. Hey, Leo Diaz, how's it going? Baby doll, good to see ya. Quantum butterfly. Official floral roses. The fact that you named the username Official Floral Roses is very impressive, by the way. Rockin' Robin, good to see you. How are you doing? Hey, Brandon, your appointments are not working. Okay, I'll look into it. It might be just I need to open more days, is probably what that is. So I'll take a look at what they want me to do with that. I'm doing. How am I doing today? I'm doing well. I get well, so I'm doing well. Morning, just read your book. So needed. I'm so glad to hear it. I'm so glad it was helpful for you, Jessica. Thank you for letting me know. I tried scheduling a call, but no availability for the next 5 months. Okay, I'll look into seeing what they want to open up and stuff. So I'll take a look at that today or tomorrow here. Leif Jade, hey, good to see ya. I didn't know you had a book. What is it called? Yeah, it's called Spirit Guides, Angels, and Speaking with Source. It's on my Linktree, actually, if you're curious about it. I have it here, but it's what's the best way to describe? I don't know. It's kind of underneath a bunch of stuff, so it'd be difficult for me to pull out. Love you too, Leo. Yeah, welcome everybody. Hey, so they want me to get started, and yeah, we'll put my sign up in a second here. So pretty much what we're doing is just channeled readings on, we've got one for the collective, so everyone who stays tuned. Then we have fire signs, earth signs, air signs, and water signs, sun, moon, and rising. Then probably a full channel mode message, and then we'll see what happens from there. So I'm going to put this up here, and we'll dive right in. Fully if that's good. I'm going to take a sip of water, though, before I get started. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking. Jessica Jensen. Oh, I remember you, Jessica. Yeah. I can channel already, but it was like a big spiritual hug. Perfect. I think that is... if that's what you needed from it, I think that's perfect that's what you got from it. So diving into, well, where do they want me to start here? I'm going to take 2 seconds just to get in the zone and see how they want me to get started, and then we'll jump right into whatever is highest enough for me to get started into. So the first message we're just starting now that they wanted me to get to here for the collective, for everyone who sticks around and wants to watch this, is they showed our good friend Giraffe. And, you know, if anyone's new here, the way they give me messages is there's a bajillion different ways they'll give me messages, but for these, like, they'll give me a word or a visual, and they'll just channel through the message, and they'll usually show me visuals along the way as well. And this was a kind of a funny one, because usually Giraffe has a very specific message about someone's path or about, you know, what's up ahead or something along those lines. This one was a bit different. This giraffe was kind of there. He was eating grass in his sub-Saharan African landscape, and then all of a sudden it was like time to leave were the words I was seeing, and then this giraffe put on like a bowler hat and a suitcase and like the suit, and he was getting on this train. And the message I was getting to clarify all this was it's time to move forward in life, and like to, if you already are, like, keep moving forward. And they kind of gave me a few iterations on that phrase, like life is calling you forward and it's important to heed that. They're also giving me the words long journey, which they're showing me the train again and giving me the words long journey. So let me see if they want to just delve a little bit deeper into what this means besides that message, or if there's anything additional before we move to the next message here. If you're hesitant to move forward, I would just do it anyways, is pretty much what I'm getting. And I'm getting the words no excuses. I don't know if those are super important words for all of you, but it might not seem like it, but December is like a good month to move. What do I mean by move forward, by the way? It could be like moving forward in a relationship, moving to a new destination, moving forward on a project or business. And like next year is going to be so much different than this year has been, like energetically. I feel like it's actually going to be so much easier to move forward. It's going to be, I mean, I feel like transformation has been the name of the game for a while, but I feel like it's going to be easier to transform and kind of break the mold and like change things. And I say this, I feel like in different ways a good amount, but they're bringing through the message again. It's like the old life is dissolving, but that's for everybody here and perhaps the world as well, where a lot of the old things that, I'm going to have to clarify this more, like kept us grounded or kept us in place, just like they're not there anymore, but we don't all realize it yet, if that makes sense as a message. So what's the best way to say this? The way they keep showing it is like someone like on the ground, and it's like if they had these straps over their boots that just like kept them in place, and it's like the straps aren't there anymore, but you're like not used to them not being there, so like you might not realize you can move forward or change things. It's something along those lines. I don't know if that's the perfect way to say it, but it's a message like that. So a lot that's been keeping you back is leaving, as an additional message they're flowing through at this time. So the next message here, they show me a brick wall, and they just gave the phrase healing the wall. They said you may be healing where you've built walls in your life, and sometimes when we build walls, it can limit our receiving a little bit or what shows up for us. And I had this example and this feeling, this energy, this knowing, I guess, kept showing up in a different reading as well. And I'll have to kind of, as we go through, I don't remember which reading that it showed up for, but it was kind of this message along the lines of, it was for the air signs actually. Sometimes when you're more like prickly or like gruff, or you have these walls up, it might just like push away things you don't intend to push away, if that makes sense. Or because it's like maybe the example that came through for the air signs, that's not the perfect one for this one because they don't want to use it. So give me 1 second to find a different. Sorry for the clanking of mugs and water containers over here, but let me see what they do want me to use here. What they're showing me is the story of like maybe you have walls up or someone has walls up and then someone else wants to help them and they kind of look and then like maybe they don't like literally see walls, but they pick up on the energy and they're like, yeah, never mind. I don't know. I do feel like the universe, when something's supposed to happen and we're supposed to receive help, the universe will just make it happen. It's like you can't stop the stars from aligning when it's time for them to align. And I feel like I've seen that too much in my life, where it's like when something's supposed to happen, like it's going to happen. Like the universe will get you to the right place where the walls are down or whatever needs to happen happens so that the thing happens. But at the same time, right now, healing the wall, you could say, would be very beneficial for you guys. I feel like that's already going on in some way, but that's just another message that came through. The next thing actually was about receiving. They said you are, okay, they're also showing me a needle popping a balloon right now. The message for you guys is don't pop your own joy. So if you're in joy or happiness or have been, or you find yourself there, don't pop your own balloon. Don't burst your own bubble. Like I would stay in joy, because that's helping the collective. That's keeping things higher vibrational. And I feel like you need that if you're there. And popping your bubble, and I mean this like you don't want to burst this bubble. I know sometimes there's the phrase bursting bubbles and you kind of do want to burst the bubble, but you don't want your joy to pop. Like it's more beneficial for you that it's there, is something I'd say here. But back to this receiving message. And actually they're like, no, there's more messages we want to bring through before this. I'm like, okay, so what else do we want to get to? They're showing me this cruise ship next. I feel like cruise ship has been showing up here in these lives intermittently as a symbol, but let's see what they want to say here. Fully flashed, good. With the cruise ship. So another piece of advice for this month, it's not supposed to be a monthly reading, but just for whatever you're seeing this, I suppose this month for you is I would be like, I know we just talked about moving forward, but I would also be taking breaks anywhere you're overworked or feel like you're working or building too hard, or like if you feel worn down, you need to rest. One of the messages that came through for this month when I was channeling messages for December is like, it's a good month for rest. Like, and it's not like don't do anything all month and halt all your projects. It's like that energetic of rest will be there and it's supported, and it might be a good idea if you need it. And I don't feel like that's for all of you, by the way, because they're like not all here, but Just a quick message in case you need to hear it. But what else is going on with this cruise ship here? I already said this message. I don't know why they want me to say it again, but with this cruise ship, they're showing this like forward journey and this old world behind this cruise ship crumbling. And I'm getting this weird message like you don't know what you're leaving behind right now, but it's more energetic. They're saying like it's energetically. So I feel like you're leaving behind a lot, but this is a good thing. It's like it's the journey you're supposed to take, and I think if everything stayed the same our whole lives, we'd be really bored. So I don't think this is bad at all. The other like just quick message coming through is I would take any journeys you feel called to go on. I feel like that's important as well. So we're going to go to receiving next here. And every time I go to like talk about this message, they show me a different visual and pull me away from it, which is maybe it's just a timing thing, but we'll see. So the next thing they showed me was like it's like a cardboard box that's kind of smaller. It's almost like 12 by 12 by 8, if that matters to anyone here. And it's like someone's handing it to you or it's being handed to someone. So why are we even, what is this here? I know it is around Christmas time or holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas. For some reason, the words I'm hearing are gift giving is important, even if you don't celebrate Christmas. Now in the next few months is a good time to maybe give a little extra so you can receive more is one of the messages I'm getting. I don't think you always need to give in order to receive, but I have noticed in my life, like, and I have a whole visual they showed me one time to explain it. That's difficult to put into words sometimes, but when you do give, it's like the universe is everything and everyone. So it's like when you give to someone, you're giving to the universe. And I know the universe is you as well. So it's kind of like the universe giving to the universe, but bear with me. It's like when you give to the universe, whether it's to a homeless person or a friend or anyone. And because you're giving to the universe, when you give to someone, the universe can use any means and available to give back to you. And it usually gives back 10 times over because the universe is gracious and cares about us and is lovely. So one, I don't know, this is something I've heard that's jumping in, and I've noticed it as well. You don't always need to expect what you give to or the person you give to be the one that you receive back from when it comes to giving. It can be anyone or anything. I don't know why we're delving into this whole thing on giving and receiving, but whatever. And so it can come from a completely different place that you're receiving from the universe if you're giving a little extra. And it's just one way to up your, I suppose, your abundance or your receiving if you feel stuck, is I would maybe just give a little bit extra is something I'm getting. The other message with receiving here, I do feel like you are going to be receiving, well, the message here, excuse me, you are going to be receiving a lot more next year or in the next few months. So anything you can do to open to receiving is a good idea, whether it's setting an intention or healing where it's difficult for you to receive things. And one thing I've heard about, it was like a course I watched like years ago. I was in my early 20s, I think, if that, like my early 20s, I think. And it was this whole course on like wealth. And I don't know if I'd actually recommend it, but that's another story. But one thing they did talk about in this course was when it comes to like receiving, it's like one way you can practice that. And there's other places I've heard like, what if receiving is a skill you can practice and hone in and build, which is really interesting. But that was more access consciousness. Coming back to what I was saying with receiving, one way you can practice is when someone gives you a compliment or something like that, you just kind of like sit with it and you're like, thank you. And like, you're not like trying to deflect. You're not trying to, do the thing that people do sometimes when they get compliments and be like, oh, stop it. Oh no. But just take a second, receive it. Thank you. And then like when you give something and someone receive it, just like take a second, like, you're welcome, things like that. Like you're really intentionally receiving. And I suppose you could do that with gifts or anything else that people are giving to you that you feel called to receive. That would be for the highest good for you to receive. So I don't know why we just went into a whole spiel on receiving for this collective messages here. They were indicating it maybe it's time to close this reading, but sometimes that also means there's 5 more quick messages to bring through before we wrap it up. So what else do I need to bring through here? So good news is they are showing me snow, and what they're showing me with this message is this winter is not going to be cold. Those are the words they're showing me and saying to me. And what that means, I know it's timeless, so I'd say if you're watching this sometime vastly in the future and it's winter is not approaching, it's just whatever the next season is. Or it could be about the winter still, and it's just letting you know like 6 months ahead of time or whatever. But what that means is it's like 5 of Pentacles, like being left out in the cold. Like that's not what's going to happen. Like I feel like this winter is actually going to be pretty warm and inviting and perhaps fun for a lot of you. So I would not like shirk away and like fear this winter. I'd invite in all the warmth and happiness that can be had. And would it be for that script for me to talk about that thing? This could just be a general message that's more for different ones of you in different spots about this. But I know sometimes, like, for me, when the winter's coming up, I always dread it. I'm always like, oh, it's going to be cold. Well, maybe not as much recently, but in the past few years, I'd find myself like, oh, it's going to be cold. I don't want this to happen. Da, da, da. But then it would happen and be like, it's okay. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I feel like this winter is actually going to be like that in a lot of ways for all of you. I need to turn off live requests, people trying to go live with me. But that's it, I believe. There's more with balloons, and they're showing me a party here. It's just a quick message to celebrate yourself and honor yourself this winter as well. I feel like that's going to bring more blessings. And what does that look like? That's because there's a few different ways I've heard about this, talked about, and what's the best thing for me to bring through for you about this one? The way they're phrasing it is any way you can think to celebrate yourself, do it. And access consciousness, which I'm not even a practitioner. I know I quote them a good amount, or I'm guided to, or sometimes they don't want me to mention them. But they're the ones I've heard talk about this the most, I think, this concept. And they'll do things like eat on fine china. And it's a way to honor yourself and celebrate yourself because it's like celebrating you every day or celebrating every day. And I think like if you take that as a template and just like, what are the little ways or the big ways I can celebrate myself right now? And it could be as simple as like, you know what? I am going to buy myself a Starbucks or whatever, or I am going to get the $2 extra thing I want instead of the $2 less thing that I'm trying to save money on. I don't know. I'm not trying to say overspend, but if money's tight, maybe think of a more creative way to do it. But I'm going to close the reading there. So I hope that was helpful. Did whatever was for that is good for it to do. My collective sign needs a little bit of love. I need to make more official signs for this because you guys can't even usually read them, I think. So good morning, Jacqueline. I practiced this yesterday. Perfect. Awesome. Good to see you, Jan Loves Life. I hope you're doing great, by the way. So I'm going to drink some water, I suppose. I feel like there is more for the collective, but because they keep showing me these balloons. We're just going to move on to fire. I think they just want me to drink water. So put it up. Give me 1 second. So fire sign, sun, moon, or rising. If you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising. we're gonna jump into the channel messages I have for you here, and my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your eyes good as we go through these. Receiving compliments towards receiving abundance really resonated. Perfect. I'm so glad to hear it. So let me just see where they want me to start with this reading fully. For that's good. I'm just going to sit with the messages for a second before I open my mouth here. Okay, so one of the first things that came through for this reading was they kind of gave this phrase of like being on a long journey. I do get this message you guys are wrapping up a big cycle, and Sometimes things can be a little bit rough when that happens, sometimes not. Sometimes things can be really good and it just kind of accelerates into joy. And they're showing this train on this track, and the visual I'm getting is this train like accelerating into this like portal. And of course, it pops out the other side into this whole new world and reality. What I'm getting is that's what the fire signs are moving towards. They're also showing me the visual they show me when it comes to astrology. The words they're giving me are like a big planetary shift. There may or may not actually be one. I pay attention to channel messages I get and what I'm getting. I don't always look at the astrology. I'm not sure if something is happening where a planet's making a big move or changing houses or transit or whatever right now, but it's almost like that energy is the way I'd say it, with some of the changes coming up, like this, portal you're going through into these new lands. It's really interesting because the other visual they're showing me is like the astrology like flipping. I'm not sure if this is literally going to happen, but it's like all of a sudden the planets mean something different for you, and the way the planets play out is different, but it's in a positive way. I'm going to talk about this for a second, and because they're telling me to talk about it. Sometimes I wonder if we took a second to remap the planets in astrology and what they meant, and really sat with source and the planets and what we were divinely guided to say those planets meant, would we start to create a new reality based on the different meanings attributed to those planets instead of the same old, same old? And I don't know, I always get annoyed because it's like, what if people hadn't put, all the stuff on Mercury that they did, and Mercury retrograde was actually like the best time ever instead of this time everyone dreaded where everything went wrong or whatever. Because I just feel like we could create a different reality with that in general. But aside from my spiel and my what if there, and I'm not saying that's how it has to work, or I'm just kind of putting it out there because I feel like I have this theory that if we all sat down and manifested different meanings for the planets in a much more positive way, we could just create a higher and better, more positive reality. I'm not saying that's it. I'd have to sit with my guides a bit more on that one, but that's my theory. Anyways, coming back to this is actually saying for you, what the actual channel messages for you are regarding astrology and this flip, because they just showed this astrology like flipping, which is really interesting. I feel like you don't realize you can change your reality and things do not have to be the same, but I just also feel like you're going to change your reality in a big way. And I feel like if you're watching it now or soon after I post it on YouTube, I feel like it's going to be this December is kind of where this shift happens, where like you have a big realization, or maybe source shows you something, or your spirit guides, and you're like, oh, I can just change everything. And you just do something that does that, whether it's they're showing me building a crystal grid or something. So I would keep that in mind. So as far as what else is going on for the fire sign, sun, moon, or rising here, I feel like you've been transforming yourself, and I feel like you've been on a long journey with that, or those are the words I'm hearing. I do get there's more to go on that front for you as far as, well, I guess transforming yourself and transforming your reality. I don't feel like you're anywhere near finished with that is something I'd say. The other message I'm getting for you is, in some ways, you might feel like your journey is lengthening, was kind of like something they were showing me early on as I was sitting with these messages ahead of time. That was really interesting. Like, maybe you're trying to accomplish something and the finish line is moved further away, or something like that. I feel like you're still going to accomplish it. And I feel like in many ways it's like a divine timing thing. Like it could even be better that way in some ways. So if that does happen in some way, don't get disheartened is something I'd say with these messages as well. So let's see what else would be highest must for you to bring through for you here. So the next message they want me to talk about here, they were kind of pointing my finger at it, was at one time as I was sitting with this reading and prepping for it, they showed me a cloud, and the message they said was like, relax, allow life to bring you relaxation. I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to relax. It's like on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And maybe we force ourselves into more work than we need to force ourselves into. If life is bringing you a time to relax, I would take it, is another message I'm getting for you guys. don't run yourself ragged or feel like you have to keep going and going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. I feel like you might, I don't know why this sounds so ominous, but they're just saying like you might end up paying the price if you do that. So I don't think things are going to be terrible. I think it's just like you might need a week off when otherwise you wouldn't have had to take a week off, if that makes sense. So I would also focus on sustainability with that. I feel like that's for everybody here, though, not just for the fire signs. Like, focus on sustainability in your life and what would be sustainable for you instead of trying to like hit a target or accomplish something and then like crash for like a week or weeks on end. I feel like sustainability is key right now. And maybe that is something with their astrology. I'm not sure. But next message I have for you here that they want me to get to here. So one thing they did show me was the Six of Swords tarot card. And in my intuitive visual, I didn't pull it. The words I was getting with that were big life improvements. They just said you don't realize how much your life is going to keep improving, which is good. And you know, they're reminding me of the first visual that kind of came through where like this train went into this new reality and things like that. I feel like that's going to keep, I don't know if that exact thing's going to keep happening, but the improvement is going to keep happening, especially if you're staying on the ball, I suppose you could say. And staying on the ball does not mean don't relax, by the way. So that's good. I also feel like you're on the right track. That came through. Another message that came through is that the universe is draining you of negative impulses right about now. And in general, I'm hearing this in a really interesting way, and I feel like you could interpret this multiple ways, but they all make sense for different ones of you. It's like sometimes we carry through negative impulses from like our past selves or like when we were a teenager, but maybe even past lives as well. I feel like the universe is needing those things away and helping you with that, because I feel like it could like potentially harm future things in your life. I'm not trying to freak you out or anything like that. It's just the message coming through. And if you've noticed negative impulses are leaving, just keep it that way. Or if you feel called to change that, I would, is something I'd say. What are negative impulses? It could be like starting a fight with your spouse out of a whim, or because of it, you're just used to that energy. It's familiar and you're uncomfortable in silence or something. Or it could be quitting a job because things get too comfortable and you're like, oh, I'm comfortable and I'm going to quit. Because, you know, and sometimes we have to be uncomfortable in the comfortability or in the steadiness, or I don't know if the boredom applies here, but you know what I'm talking about. But if you have any type of negative impulses where you would tank something over and over again in your life or anything like that, I feel like that's going away. And not all of you will, but for some of you. So the next thing they want me to get to here, what do they want me to get to here? I'm going to ask them to clarify it a bit more, because I feel like this message could be a bit more specific. But the visual they were showing me was this, it was you, a representation of you, and you had these like orbs of fire in your hands, or like these flaming orbs. But it was like these orbs would kind of like, I guess, coalesce, but like the fire would, I wish I had a better way to describe the visuals I get, because I feel like I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. The message was like, because these orbs would like burn you, and the message was like, don't burn yourself, focus your fire in the right ways, focus it in productive ways. So as far as what that could mean a bit more deeply, or what that does mean a bit more deeply for you, what's the message here? Fully, that's good. I feel like it's similar to the last message in some ways. Like maybe some of you have a tendency to, I'm getting this message like mouth off to a supervisor at work, and then it like always lands you in trouble. Or you get like really fiery and upset about something, and then it kind of lands you in, they're showing me deep crap. So I'd be a little bit careful with that. I'd be a little bit aware of that. And I would like focus your fire into like doing better, or like improving your life. Or maybe if you have an anger or something that comes up, take that anger and fuel it into a project or something, or sit with it and let it dissolve and transform and show you what's going on in your grief so you can heal. That's another option. But, you know, for some reason, there's this message to focus any fieriness in the right ways and not do something that would have you burn yourself in life. The next message I have here, they show me a sheep, and the sheep was like having its wool shaved, you know how, or sheared or whatever. And there was this message that the universe is bringing a bit of a trim into your life to clean things up a bit. So you might like lose some minor things, or maybe some like habits, some minor habits are falling away. Or you might just feel called to change a few things. There's a couple different ways it could show up, but I do feel like it's a good thing. I was getting it's a good thing. So if a sheep doesn't get shaved for a long time, it's not ideal. So they showed me this video that I'd watched forever ago. It was about the sheep who had somehow avoided getting its wool sheared or shaved or whatever for like a year, like a long time. It somehow like avoided it. And the sheep was just like a poof. It was just like fur everywhere. It was wool in places it probably wasn't supposed to be. It was all matted up. There was all this crap in it. It did not actually look like it was happier that way, if I'm being honest. It looked like it would be more miserable with that. So I feel like the universe is just shaping you up or shaping your life up. I feel like it's really helping you. It might even be things you would want to lose, like weights or something. Not that, and I don't know, that was just something that was popping in, but keep that in mind as well. That's kind of what I have for the fire signs. I might pull a card or just see if there's anything more they want to bring through for you, or just like see where you're headed next, or what else would be highest much to bring through for you right now. We're going to pull just a golden tarot card. 7 of Cups popping out here, and there's one more. It's the top card on this deck. Okay, 7 of Cups and 2 of Wands. They want me to read these separately though. So 7 of Cups looks like this. I'm gonna I like to unmirror the videos. Okay, so 7 of Cups showing up here. What is the message for you here? Of course, it has to do with choice. Usually, one of the typical meanings is there's like 7 choices. There's all these choices on the cup, and I do get the word choice with this card first and foremost. One message I'm getting for you that doesn't necessarily have to do with the the typical meaning of this card is. Shoot, I need to sit with it just a second longer because they showed me the message and I forgot it, and sometimes I have to be a bit quicker in bringing this through. Okay, it was about fortifying some of the good things in your life, or the things that are going really well or that you're enjoying, and making sure those are good before you head on to other options is something I'm getting, interestingly enough. So if you have a business, for example, if you have a business and you want to go like do 7 other things, I would like make sure that business is like good and running full force and operating well before you go off and do like 3 other ideas you want to try, if that makes sense. Or if you have a good thing in your life, like a relationship, like they're showing me like tarp on the back of a truck, like flapping around. Like I would make sure that it's tied down, not like tied down in a negative way where you're like tying someone down and they don't want it or something like that. But I don't know, make sure the nuts and bolts are in place. Make sure you got everything in place, if that makes sense. Anything. So I want to see if sometimes I get like a bajillion messages off of one card. So I just want to see if there's other messages coming through here for you. I feel like in some ways, what choice to make, or it's obvious or will be if you do have multiple choices in something. I would obviously head towards the light that. So, excuse me. I don't know why head towards the light came out, but I would head towards the options that feel lightest to you and feel best. And what else do you need to know about this here? I do feel like there are going to be some very obvious choices coming your way, and I would make the most of that. I would just make those obvious light choices. But I would make sure you're showing up the things that are important to you as well. Make sure they can't just flutter away in the winds. With the 2 of Wands showing up here, he has the world in his hands and stuff. I want to see what are the messages I'm getting here. We were getting a journey this whole time for you, fire signs, and the message I'm getting here for you is go on a journey. The message I'm getting for this particular instance of the 2 of Wands is he thinks he is stuck right now. I feel like the words I'm hearing to explain this message for you, and it's not necessarily the typical meaning of the card, again, are like he kind of feels he feels like he's stuck in his little castle because he's kind of like on this terrace looking out on the world. He thinks he's accomplished a lot, and he has in some ways, or perhaps in a lot of ways, but he needs to go further. He's not done. He just doesn't realize that. And I'm also hearing this message like your life is not over until it's over. There's still so much more to accomplish, to see, to attain. So don't stop now. It's kind of a reiteration of the earlier message in some ways, is something I'm hearing as well. And I almost want to say go on a longer journey than you have been on either before, or go on a longer journey than you've been on now. And by that, I mean, like, well, there's a couple different ways that could make sense. One, it could just make sense to you, me saying that. Two, it's almost like extending what you're doing. Like if you're building a business, like maybe set an even higher target to attain or aspiration to attain, or I'm trying to avoid the word goal, but that's my thing. Don't worry about it. So what else before we wrap it up here? I don't know. They're just wrapping it up by saying you're on the right track. We're going to pull one more card. The Hierophant showing up here. On this card, it says intuitive guidance. I'm using a different deck for this one, obviously, here. One thing that's jumping out at me is this. There's a lot of darkness on this card. I'm hearing the words out of the darkness. I feel like you've been in a metaphorical eclipse. I know we just had the eclipses, but eclipse in life where like things get darker temporarily. I feel like things are going to be brighter than before, or perhaps ever before as well. So, if you're going through some type of darkness, when I say stick with it, I don't mean stick with the darkness. I mean like keep heading forward, keep trudging through it, and it will leave is what I know. That's definitely not the traditional meaning of Hierophant, but anything about the Hierophant. There are typically keys depicted on the Hierophant, I believe, in the traditional tarot and in different iterations of it. I do feel like you're going to be unlocking something soon, like a gateway to your next destination, or I also feel like you don't realize how good things can get as another message popping through for you. And we already got the message things are going to get a lot better for you, but things are going to get a lot better for you. And the keys you need for that are coming in. I feel like you also are the key for that. I would also just be wishing for a lot more right now in life, or for like next year, for your life ahead, and be manifesting your butt off in the next few months here. I'm going to close it there. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking. So I hope that was helpful, fire signs. Do whatever was for that's good for it to do for you. Hope you're doing great. And we're going to move on to the earth signs, sun, moon, or rising, after I drink water and stuff. And maybe some coffee, because they were pointing at it. I think coffee is an interesting thing. I feel like I've had some of the best lives I've done have been when I didn't drink coffee. I think I've also had really good ones where I have drank coffee, but I feel like coffee gets just a weird bad rap in certain, never mind, I don't think they even want me to talk about this, so I was going to go on like a coffee rant. I'm going to skip it. We're going to go to the earth sign, sun, moon, and rising. So I'm going to put it in frame too. So yeah. So if you have an earth sign, sun, moon, or rising, it's for you when you see it. They want me to start by pulling cards. Usually with the lives, I've been purposely not using cards for like the past good while. I almost want to say year, but I feel like it's been more like the last like 6+ months, and I've kind of been bringing them in a little bit here. So what deck should we start with? Okay, who would we pull the top card here? This card has been popping out a lot recently. The Emperor is the card that I'm getting for you first and foremost. I do feel like you're stepping into this energy in a positive way where it's kind of leading your life. I'm hearing things like not taking no for an answer. I mean that in a positive way, not in like a weird, there's certain instances where that's not the best energy to hold on, such as like asking someone on a date. Like it's not usually good to not take no for an answer. But I feel like it's more like in life, like grabbing life by the horns. Again, I'm moving forward, which was in the collective, so it makes sense it's coming through for you as well, and the rest of the readings, I suppose, for some of you. And let me sit with this for a second longer here. I also feel like this is the energy you need to step into. It's just like assertive, not dominance in like a weird way, but it's like not letting other people push you around. And an emperor may have like trusted advisors in his council, but he doesn't have anyone pushing him around or telling him what to do with his life. He has people he trusts that he goes to consult, I suppose. But even then, he's in charge. He's making the decisions and the choices. I feel like that's what you need to do, is not get taken for a ride by other people's opinions is one thing I'm getting with this card. I know I'm getting that you need to step into this energy, but I also just feel like this energy's coming in for you. It's like you'll kind of be pulled into it. It's really interesting because it's showing up. This energy is showing up as like in my intuitive visuals is like a mech, like mech suits, like Pacific Rim where they were in the big robots fighting the monsters, and or like the anime with all the big robots and stuff. It's almost like the energy is like pulling you into it like a mech suit, and you're able to accomplish a lot more because you're kind of armored up from other people's opinions. And I know armor can mean something negative. I'm not talking about that. That's just the visual that's showing up. So that's good, is something I'd say for you first and foremost. I do feel like you're going to be blossoming as well, especially next year. I feel like you've half blossomed this year for most of you. That's the way it's coming in, where it's like you've started to blossom, like you're moving, most of you are moving that direction. But I feel like next year is going to be the year, is what I'm getting, where your fields blossom a bit more. And for at least some of you, the abundance you've been waiting for comes in. And I feel like it's more than just some of you, though. I feel like it's most or all of you. I'm just hearing like next year is like where your abundance comes in, or yeah. And I just like pulled the Ace of Pentacles out of, I wasn't even thinking. I just picked up the card deck, and Ace of Pentacles was right there with the cards I picked up. Beginning of prosperity. And I crap you not, I have a channeled message. I'm going to highlight it and show you where I literally wrote down and saw the Ace of Pentacles in my intuitive visuals. If you can read it, and I'm so sorry if you can't, but I'm not making this up. I have an Ace of Pentacles right there that came through as a channel message for you. And if you could read that, really what came through with that message was new beginning, like early next year. And definitely if you're watching this in the future on YouTube, it's the next few months for some of you watching later on, which is cool. So I think there's two messages with the card that came out. One, we were just talking about your fields blossoming, and that's beginning of prosperity, are the words on the bottom of that card. Ace of Pentacles is also, it could be offer or opportunity that leads to prosperity. But two, you have a new beginning coming in general, which is good, or a new offer. They're clarifying with the word offer, which is cool. So, and that wasn't on the bottom of the deck. I just did something like this, where I just like did that, and well, we got the tower. So was there a message with that tower? I'm hearing don't worry about the tower, so they'll get into it later. So let's get back to your channel messages here. For some reason they gave me the phrase out of this world as well. I feel like if you're not there already, that's what you're becoming. Or for others of you, if you don't feel like you're becoming out of this world, I feel like your life is going to be out of this world soon, is something I'm hearing, next couple of months, or you feel that way, or some type of out of this world event or events happen where you're like, oh man, that was out of this world. That was cool. So that's a good thing. I do feel like that has to do with abundance also for some of you. The next message I had here, they showed me an alien, was like the first thing that showed up as I was sitting with your reading today. And they just, well, I have to sit with it a bit because they did bring through the message you're on the right track, but I feel like there's more with this alien than just that. So let me sit with this for a second here. I know this came through for the fire signs as well, but it's coming through for the earth signs. And if you have both a fire and earth placements in your big three, this message is just saying like, yeah, pay attention to this message, because they're showing you getting beamed up by it like a UFO. Not literally. I don't think that's literally going to happen. But in the intuitive visual, what it represents is you going to a new reality, or being shown something out of this world and being taken to the stars where you can shine, is something they're showing me. And right now your reality seems a little bit dismal. Maybe not all of you, but it's just for most of you, it's what I'm hearing. Or it's like things are just not as like bright as you would like them to be. I feel like actually they are, but it's hidden is the best way I could describe it. Like it's almost like by a void. It's like if you were in the night sky and you had this like weird void cloud around you and you couldn't see past it. It's like things are actually bright all around you. It's just like you're the only one who can't see it is the way it's being portrayed to me for you. So good news is you're stepping out of by stepping out of that energy, I mean out of the void energy where you can see it. Two, I just feel like you're being brought to, this comes through a decent amount, but being brought to a higher reality soon where you're shining more, which is good. And I feel like you're going to be out of this world. Again, they're bringing that through. The next message here was I feel like this is not the first time you've got this message either, Earth signs, but higher calling. There are higher callings coming in for you if you keep going. That they are showing me the Ace of Pentacles again that we just drew. So what else do we need to bring through for you on this one here? I feel like at least some of you are halfway to a higher calling, or like you've started, maybe you've stopped, or like you're slowly trudging towards it is something they're showing me. But I don't know, that's coming in is what I'm getting for you. We did talk about new beginnings already. So the other message I have for you here is life has tricks up its sleeve for you. Don't fret about anything was the message that came through. They're showing me a very interesting message of, they showed it started out as a chessboard, but it kind of turned into Dungeons and Dragons, and it'll make sense once I talk about it, because they showed this like chess piece on a chessboard in like a kind of precarious position, or it was like surrounded by enemies. It kind of had no way out, and it's like sometimes in life, like it kind of appears like we're in these tricky situations, or everything's against us, or I just keep hearing these messages like everything's against us, nothing's going to change, or something like that. I don't think that's the case at all, but in like Dungeons and Dragons is like, it was just a quick knowing that they flashed through. I want to say with this just a second longer to make sure I get this out correctly. It's kind of like the universe is all of it, and for story purposes, sometimes the main characters are thrust into precarious situations. But seeing as like in Dungeons and Dragons, you have like the players and you have the dungeon master, and the dungeon master, not that life is a dungeon, the dungeon master controls the world and what happens in a lot of ways. And the thing about the dungeon master is he is allowed to fib. He's allowed to fudge some dice rolls and say, you know, keep a player alive, you know, to keep the story interesting. And he might keep it close. I'm not saying this is literally what's going to happen, by the way. I'm just explaining this. He might keep it close for the players so they have an interesting experience and it's not too easy for them. But he doesn't also want to just like wipe out the whole party, and because that's not really fun either for anybody. It's like you're crafting the story with the players and the person leading the story, I suppose. You kind of have this dynamic where you're creating an experience and story together that you're playing out through chance and through whatever. But if you, for a second here, and it's not the perfect analogy, but bear with me, think of life or think of Source or the universe as the dungeon master. It's like he can really, life, the universe, Source can really get you out of any situation, really, because it's kind of in charge of all of it, if that makes sense. So when I say life has tricks up its sleeve for you, don't fret about anything. That was kind of the visual they showed me to explain it, was like, you know, like regardless of how certain things might look sometimes, Source is really in control and it can really kind of transform the situation or lead you out of it in some way. And don't get me wrong, you also have control. You can manifest. You are all of it at the same time. But what I'm hearing is don't think you're in this alone. I think that's about life, but that could also pertain to a specific circumstance you feel a bit trapped by, if any. So even if you feel like everything's stacked against you, doesn't mean you can't get out of it or life can't help you out of it. So I know that was a long-winded way to get that message through, and I probably shouldn't say that after I've already delivered all that. I should probably just roll through and let you think of it what you will. But that's kind of the way I was getting that message. Next message here, they showed me a lawnmower. It reminds me a bit of like something that came through for the fire signs as well. But sometimes when life is manicuring us up for the next phase, we start to feel weird or like something is off, but things are actually going to be a-okay is what I was getting. So it's kind of like there's a couple different ways I'm getting to describe this, but what's the best way for me to say it here? I mean, I already said it, but do we want to go deeper? What's the best way to keep going here? Hopefully that's good. I do feel like life is trimming you up for the future. It's kind of like when you're going out on an important date or to a important work luncheon or business meeting or something. Like you get dressed up, like you trim you trim your nails, you do your hair. If you do makeup, if you're a makeup person, you put makeup on. If you're not a makeup person, you don't. But usually you dress up in some way and prepare. I feel like life is kind of manicuring you up for the next phase here. So you might feel a little bit weird, or like something's coming, or maybe like something's gonna like tip in your life and something big's gonna happen, or it could doesn't have to be big. And I feel like that will. I feel like that's kind of what's happening, and you might just feel a little bit weird while that tension builds. It's kind of like feeling nervous before a date. Like it could be a really, really, really good thing, but you're still nervous. So next message here, they show me an ox, and they just gave me the word strong. They're saying you're stronger than you realize. They give me the words, you've got this. So I feel like whatever's going on for you right now, you've got this, is the way they want me to bring the message through here. We're pulling more cards. Okay. So, is this the card you want right now for this reading? Okay. We'll talk about that if they want me to. And there was another card that came out that they wanted me to talk about later, didn't they? Oh, it was the Tower. We'll talk about that in a second. So 5 of Pentacles is the next card they're kind of bringing out. I'm getting this message, stay away from feeling lack is the best way I can. I mean, that's literally the words I heard, but let me sit with it for just a second longer and see. It's funny because we also have 5 of Cups behind that, learning from loss. And let me sit with this because all this seems a little bit down here. One, I'm just hearing you're doing better than you realize. So in some ways, maybe give yourself a round of applause here. But with 5 of Pentacles and 5 of Cups here, I'm just going to sit with the messages before I open my mouth here. The good news with these 5s here, and I'm going to show you so you can see, 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Cups, is I do feel like they're about to graduate into 6s. Like those scales are about to tip, or it's like the water is at this boiling point where that happens for you. So, and you know, there's that phrase, sometimes it's darkest before the dawn. I feel like that's this. I feel like that's this card, but I also feel like this is going away, maybe slowly over time, but I also getting this message with the 5 of Cups, like you've dealt with enough disappointments. I feel like weirdly enough, like if a few more disappointing things happen, like it's not going to matter. Like it might even just feel par for the course, but the good news is it's not going to be the rest of your life. And again, it's going away. The 6s in tarot tend to be really positive, like 6 of Swords, 6 of Wands, 6 of, 6 of Pentacles can be positive, but 6 of Swords and 6 of Wands are definitely really positive, and 6 of Cups, I believe it. Yeah, 6 of Cups is usually positive too. That can be like a gift from the universe. It can, I think some people read it as people coming back from the past sometimes, but that's why I'm kind of saying like it's a good thing these are graduating into 6s. I would also sit with times that these cards represent, like 5 of Pentacles, hardship, being left out of the cold, being broken up with, a job not going well or something. And like 5 of Cups, which is, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can read it, but think of the times those things happened and like heal them is something I'm getting, or if they pop up in your memories and you kind of feel that emotion or that ping show up, I feel like that's a cue to sit with it and kind of release that energy or release that feeling associated with it and just start to kind of heal that trauma. I feel like you're ready to release a lot from past circumstances like this, and that's also why this is coming up. So that's good. So they didn't want me to show you. So regarding the Tower that popped up earlier here, I feel like you guys have a choice of a tower, and that sounds really weird, but I'm gonna just give me a second to channel the messages regarding the Tower here before we just jump to conclusions. So what does that mean? Have a choice with the Tower, and they're describing it in a very simple way. It's like, well, you have a choice of either having a Tower moment or not having a Tower moment. But I'm like, okay, how is it something that's going to be an obvious choice? Give me a second. I feel like you're going to have a choice, and it's going to be between something that very obviously leads to destruction and something that very obviously leads to growth and like achievements. And you need to do the thing that leads to achievements. And what would be an example of this? Maybe your destructive ex pops up, but it's like they're really hot and you're just like, oh, look at you. And you're like, don't convince yourself to go towards the Tower is something I'd say. I feel like you're already on a good track, and don't veer off of it for something that seems appealing, but you know is not appealing, is what I'm hearing. And they want me to show this card now that would pop. It was at the bottom of the deck. It was the 3 of Swords here. Don't freak out about this yet. I just want to see what this is about before we freak out about it here. I feel like you're worried about this. I feel like you're also worried about, well, I know we just talked about a tower moment, so of course you might be worried about a tower moment, but you might be worried about a tower moment. And with this Three of Swords popping out here, what's going on here? I do feel like you've been through a lot of this. Three of Swords is like heartbreak. I feel like a pit in my stomach as I'm sitting with this card. Like the energy is not very fun. It's almost like this energy of starting over they're also the words they're showing me, or like having to start over from like ground zero after like a relationship falls apart or some type of tower moments. I don't feel like you need to fear it in the future as much as you think you do. I don't feel like it's gonna happen. But I do, again, like we were just talking about, I feel like you need to heal from when this has happened so you don't repeat it, is something I am getting. If this is going to play out in your reality in the future, I feel like it's far in the future, and I'm not dooming you to that. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I just feel like this is not talking about your near future coming up here. What you don't realize is that your Three of Swords moments, which is like heartbreak, it's not fun, have been growing you. And as you heal from them, you're going to realize you're like a lot wiser, is something I'm getting. And this sounds like a very simple speech that I'm giving, but is there anything deeper we need to go into here? What you don't realize is like these have been building you, and they've been building you to a place where you don't keep creating these, is something I'm getting. I feel like you've learned your lessons, so why am I talking about this? I feel like it's not going to happen, but you need to heal from it. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. That's just what I'm hearing. If you're going through anything like that right now, like a Three of Swords or like a heartbreak, I don't feel like a lot of you are, if I'm being completely honest. What I'm hearing is like, one, it's going to heal, so don't freak out. But they're also saying that's not the message we want to bring through. So I feel like I'm stumbling a bit with that card, and they also just didn't really want me to read it right when it came out either. They wanted me to read some different cards, but we're going to just see if they want to clarify it. I don't want to spend too much time just sitting here, but any other messages before we move on here? Okay, they're just clarifying, like, those Three of Swords moments in your past have been building you, and you're going to see what they've been building you towards. We're going to move on to the air signs soon. Any other cards? No. Nine of Pentacles, this is what you're heading towards, but we already talked about that. So I'm going to end it there. I feel like I'm kind of hitting a bit of a wall there, so probably because I got the messages I needed to. But I hope that was helpful and did whatever was for the highest good for it to do. And there's one more message before we end it, though. And they're showing me this. It looks like a poppy. It's a flower. It looks, if poppy is a flower. And what's going on here? They're just saying, heartbreak has been the manure that has grown your future life and success. So thank it and release it. Don't demonize it, is something I'm getting as well. And if you feel like your heart is breaking for the world right now, or has been, or will be in the future, I would kind of sit with it. You might even think it's better to be aware and in tune, I think, and empathic to things than narcissistic and like, I don't care that that certain things are happening. So if something hits you, it hits you. But it was also this message of like, how can you create joy for yourself? And if you need to process something, you need to process for something. But I wouldn't stay in heartbreak if you can help it all the time. I would do something to counteract it by building something positive or joyful, if that makes sense. I don't feel like I'm totally nailing that message, but the way I'm bringing it through. But anything else? Nope. I'm going to wrap it up. So hopefully that was okay for you guys, that ending. But I'm going to move to the beyond helpful. I'm just so shocked today. Bless your heart, Brandon. Thank you. Thank you, NGZ. You're welcome, guys. So bingo. Thanks for validating that for me. I appreciate it. Next message. Well, sorry, not next message. We're going to move to anything else. The last message for the earth signs, and this might even be for a lot of you here, not just the earth signs, is I feel like there's a lot of lessons or things you've been through that are crystallizing. And you won't have to go through certain things anymore to extract the wisdom. It'll be like that phase is behind you, like those tower moments are behind you, and the whatever is, that stuff is behind you. So don't think negative experiences are going to have to keep repeating in order for you to keep growing. I feel like a new way is emerging where it's easier to grow without the heartache. And sometimes we do have those phases we need to go through to, I guess, learn the lessons or whatever, but it doesn't have to be the way all the time. So I feel like as a collective, I'm getting a weird message, like maybe we're heading out of a phase where we've needed to use that all the time. And maybe perhaps we can learn and grow through joy and not just through heartache. Okay, air signs. So let's put this, let's see if it'll stick. Sorry for my, that's good enough. No, sorry, perfectionism kicking in. Okay, air signs, sun, moon, or rising. How are you doing? We're going to jump into the channel messages that came through for you. And before you scream water at me. And heartache and things like that might still happen. I don't want to promise like you'll never be heartbroken again. I don't know if that would be wise of me, but what I keep getting is there's other possibilities, there's better ways, and we're unlocking that. So we're creating it, so that's good. But for the air signs, sun, moon, or rising, here are some of the channel messages coming through for you, and my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through anything additional with what I wrote down or channeled down ahead of time, and we'll pull cards if they want me to. But wait, they want me to start with the first channel message I have here. There's also a deer or like a stag showing up here for you. It's kind of talking about sensitivity. Like deer is a sensitive animal. It's in tune, and it's almost showing its antlers as almost like antennae or something that helps it be in tune. And they're giving me the word psychic as well. And they keep showing it to me. I always feel perhaps a little bit silly when I bring it through, but it's also what they're showing me, and they want me to say it, so I will. But I believe when I was a kid and I played Pokemon a lot, there was this deer Pokemon that I think was also like, because there's like all the types of Pokemon. There's like a psychic type, and I think there was a deer that was a psychic type, and they're kind of showing me that for some reason as well. And yeah, so when I kind of hesitated to bring through that Pokemon one, they started showing me this workaround with the antlers. I'm like, okay. And perhaps that was part of it. What's the message for you regarding the psychic deer or whatever the heck is showing up here? Because it's more about being in tune, I believe. It's kind of this message that you guys are more sensitive than you realize, and you might need to take a time out in some ways or pull back from certain harsh energetics more than you realize. I do feel like there are phases we go through. I need to explain this a bit more than what I'm about to say, so bear with me. There are phases we go through where we're more sensitive than others, or maybe more raw is a better way to put it, because we can maintain that heightened intuition or accuracy or awareness or sensitivity in the future and have it be a bit more held, I guess is the way to say it, where maybe for a year you have a tough time going to the grocery store or being in a crowd, but then you're able to maintain that heightened sensitivity. And to me, energetic sensitivity is a heightened form of awareness. You're more aware of what's actually there, what's actually going on, and you're more able to pick up on things, if that makes sense. But it's you're held where it's it doesn't rub you in a raw way as much, if that makes sense. So I feel like you guys are in a sensitive phase, most of you, if not all of you, right now, and I would honor that and not try to force through that as much. For some reason, I don't really have an affiliation at all. One thing they're showing me is there's this company called twistedsage.com, and I don't know if I resonate with all of their teachings that they talk about, but their energy tools are pretty cool, I think. And if you find yourself extra sensitive or need a little extra support, maybe that's something to look into. No affiliation. I like their energy tools, but twistedsage.com is the website. And why am I bringing that up? Just maybe that would help with some energetic support. There's some tools that they have for that. But beyond that, what else would help you out regarding this message and the sensitive message here? I think that's just to help you be aware of it and make different choices that help you support that. And we're all growing in sensitivity in some way, or a lot of people are, as like the way I've heard other people talk about it. Excuse me, my nose is running. I've heard Lee Harris is this channeler, and he does these energy updates every month on YouTube. Worth checking out, I personally think. And one phrase he uses that I don't utilize is this term like psychic highways. And he kind of uses that as a term of like, it'll be like the psychic highways are revving up, so a lot more people are becoming intuitive or something like that. And that phrase just popped in. My guys just popped it in here. Or said it, so I'm gonna say it. But it's like, that's kind of, I suppose that's a way I could say it's ramping up for all of us. So we might have increased sensitivity, increased intuition, maybe even increased daydreaming. But I feel like that's kind of I don't like that symptom, because daydream is just, that doesn't have to be intuitive in my experience. So why are we talking about this here? Just so you'll honor that, honestly, and not... Yeah, I already said it, so I feel like I'm talking in circles, so we're going to move forward here. So what else would be highest much for me to bring through for you here? I do get your intuition is rising. I do feel like this, you could say the sensitivity level on the planet is rising energetically. And as people become more aware, that can cause some implosions, because people are not used to feeling what they're feeling, or maybe they're not used to being as in tune with themselves as they're becoming, if that makes sense. So there's kind of a learning curve sometimes that comes with that, to learn how to deal with your sensitivity and your intuition and these things coming online, if you're one of those people. But I feel like you're going to be feeling this very in big ways, so keep that in mind. Next message I have here, they showed me this it was more of a snow cone or like ice cream. And what happened was, like, you got this like snow cone. It was blue, if you need to know the color, by the way, like the shaved ice with like the flavor and the color, and like this snow cone like fell off the cone onto the ground. It was like that stereotypical thing where someone's ice cream falls off the cone. And the message was like, if life ruins something for you, you're going to get like 10 times in return. And the visual they showed me was your ice cream cone, like your ice cream falls off the cone onto the ground, and then life hands you like 10 more like ice cream cones. Like you're just like, like in some ways, I don't want to say that, but I was going to say in the visual, it looked a little impractical to carry like 10 snow cones, but I don't want to put that on you in real life. I don't think that's going to be impractical in real life, but you're going to be giving like a 10x in return for something you lose. So if you're losing something, if it's important or what, I feel like you're going to get something 10 times better, or that thing 10 times over. The next thing they showed me was a cactus. It was just a reminder to not be prickly. There are a lot of people potentially trying to help you right now, was the message that came through, but sometimes you have to let your guard down and receive it and kind of rescind the needles, if that makes sense. And that was kind of where I was getting this brief message of like, sometimes people want to help us out, but if we're being extra prickly, they're like, yeah, I think I'm going to stay away. I don't think that's literally going to happen, and I don't mean to scare you, and I don't mean to have you like throw the boat in reverse full force, and all of a sudden you're just like eyes twitching as you try to be sickly sweet to people. But if you found yourself being prickly to people, maybe try to sit with that and be like, okay, why are my defenses up right now? What do I need to heal here or do for myself to help myself, so it can be a little bit more sweet to people and a little bit easier to be around, so people can help me or will want to, something along those lines. So the next message I have here, I think it's funny when they show me, element related things to the element I'm reading for air signs. They literally just showed me air. I'm like, well, all right, okay. But for this message, they said, how do you want your life to flow and go? How can you manifest better flow? I feel like the words I heard did not make sense. So I'm going to like translate this a little bit, because I know what it meant. It was like, there's a great possibility for you're capable of like a lot of flow, like really great flow. And how can you ground that in and bring that in more for your life? Like, what will it take? And I know sometimes those amorphous things don't always make sense, because like I think one of my pet peeves when I was first getting into this was like people like, find your center. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what is your center? What is this thing you're saying? And maybe energetically it makes sense if you sit with it, or if you get the intuitive, like, oh yeah, centering is like this and it feels like this. I'm like, okay, it can make sense. Or maybe now I'd be like, what does finding my center feel like? I'm going to ask for that now. And you'd feel the energy of it. Be like, okay, I see how it feels different than before. Okay, I can see how I can move towards that. But so you could just manifest that, be like, universe, what will it take for more flow to start showing up for me? Thanks so much, or something like that. Start asking that question to have it show up. I think like that's the workaround for the amorphous concepts that you don't understand. If you find you don't understand it, because maybe you do know what centering means, and you're like, what's this dude going on about? But yeah, it's kind of just a question like, how do you want your life to flow and go, and like sitting with that, and like, what's that energy like get the energy of that. How does that feel to you? What would that be like? And then manifesting that instead of just, I guess it's like just a moment to pause and reflect and create that instead of just going the way you've been going, if you feel like you're lacking a certain amount of flow or it's not flowing the way you want it to. I do feel like there is a big shift in the tides for you as a message that's coming through right now as we're sitting with this reading. It's kind of like a change in fortunes, but it's almost like you have to wish for it. It's like you have to ask for it or something. But they're showing someone by the ocean, and there's this like amulet, and this amulet is like, or it's like an amulet or like a coin, but it's not like a normal coin. Like there's like different colored gemstones on it, like really small, like little spheres almost kind of stuck into it or placed in it. So there's like an orange one, a green one, like a yellow one, a white one. And it's kind of like you're making a wish and like throwing the coin into the ocean. And this is a really weird message, but it's like these water spirits come and like help you make it a reality. I'm not saying this is literally what's going on, by the way. I don't know why this is playing out this way, but as far as why it's playing out this way, I'm just hearing like your wishes are powerful right now, so I would be making them. Especially regarding things like this, like how do you want your life to feel? How do you want your life to flow and go? What's lacking for you? Like what do you desire, and how can you bring that in? Things like that. Next message that came through here, they actually showed me the Emperor, and they said you are stepping into leadership. And I do feel like life is going to start flowing for you, which is good too. I just also feel like you have better on the way, something they're showing me. They're showing me this visual of, well, there was a couple. One was like you on these like docks on the water, but then this like huge wave, the docks were a little dilapidated, and this wave like hit these docks and it crumbled, and you were like running down these docks to shore. And it's kind of like you need to go to a different dock. I think sometimes we're waiting for our ships to come in the wrong spots. It's, I don't know how to describe this, but what's the best way to describe this here? It's like we think our ships are going to come in one certain way, but they're not. We actually need to try something different or go to this other dock to wait for our ships where they're actually going to go, if that makes sense. I feel like the universe has been guiding you to this, is something I'm getting as well. The universe has been leading you to, and by your ships coming in, it's like abundance or your manifestations or good things that you've been waiting on, I suppose. I feel like the universe is leading you to your ships coming in. I just think you need to listen. And I'm also getting this message, like if there are vast amounts of destruction in a certain area of your life, that's just not the way, or that's not the thing that you need to be. That's not where your ships are going to come in, is something I'm getting, interestingly enough. So I know we did talk about like if you lose something, you're getting 10 times in return. So this is a slightly different message. I feel like it's like if you're at a job and there's like mass amounts of destruction at your job, it's like that's not the job for you. And by mass amounts of destruction, it could be like a mass wave of layoffs, maybe including yourself. Or it could also be like maybe a tornado comes through and destroys the building, and it's literal. I don't know, but that's just something I'm getting for you. Or like if you're in a relationship and things just like blow up and like everything just getting destroyed, it's like not that relationship. Is kind of, well, what they want me to clarify that differently, so I'm sorry. Or even if there's like a lot of destruction around the relationship all of the time, I would sit with like, is it maybe time to leave, is something I'm getting. But I don't feel like I'm nailing it on that specific part when I'm saying that, so I apologize. Use your discernment. But let's see here. Besides all of that, The next message I have for you here, they did show me an octopus. It was just a quick message, a reminder to not grip onto things tightly and to flow with things a bit more, allow certain things to leave your life if they need to leave. Attachment is not the way was the message they gave me here. I feel like also like attachments might be if you're like overly attached to things, it might lead to destruction is something I'm getting. I feel like it's for the better. I feel like it leads to greatness is something I'm hearing weirdly enough, or to a better way for you, but it doesn't have to be that difficult to get there at the same time is what I'd say. So we already talked about intuition rising, so that's great because that's here. And I didn't realize I had that channel message for you at the bottom. So I'm going to pull, is there anything else I need to bring through for you? They're showing me a manatee. Interestingly enough. So what's up with the manatee? So they're showing me how manatees are friendly and playful. I know we talked about prickliness leaving. I would kind of be that way a bit more. And that's almost like even like with your manifestations, it's like, oh, what would it take to bring this about? Like, what if we tried this? What if we tried this? And it's kind of like approaching life playfully instead of like super serious. Because they're showing me something that I don't think it is an actual thing from anything, but it reminds me or looks like an enemy from a video game that's like this, and this guy is like 12 feet tall. He's like super hulky. It's like you know that dude that they call the Mountain or whatever, forget his name. I think it was in Game of Thrones. That's all and he does weightlifting. That's all I know about him. Or, you know, I mean, I could channel other things, but let's not delve into the Mountain's life when this is about you. Like, don't need to go there. Anyways, it almost reminds me of like this character they're showing me looks like that. And he like has this like medieval like mace or something. And he's just like super serious about everything. Like there is no ounce of joy in this gigantic 12 foot, whatever this is. And they're just kind of saying, don't be like that. You don't need to be super serious and menacing. Not that you're menacing, but you know what I'm saying. Be like more like a manatee right now. Cause I think you're just going to get a lot more interacting with life that way than, trying to be super serious and like crush rocks with your flail and, crush a way through the mountain instead of playfully gallivanting around it or something. It's a weird message, but hopefully that makes sense. Card here, King of Swords here. Yeah, don't be like this. Don't be super serious and stuff. That's not the main message, I don't think. This is not the typical meaning of King of Swords, I don't think, but this dude does need to get out of his head is kind of what I'm getting. He does need to approach life more playfully. He keeps wanting to swing his sword around and chop heads off. I would not be like that. I'd kind of stick your sword in the ground and be a little bit more peaceful. It reminds me of the scene of like Thor 4, which I know wasn't the best movie for a lot of people, but at the beginning he has his axe and he like sticks it in the ground while he like meditates. And I know like in the movie that like wasn't his thing. It didn't work for him, but for you, I would kind of be like that and like approach life in a different way like that. The other thing with the King of Swords that's showing up here, what else is the message here? There is a quick message of transformation. There's a butterfly at the top of his throne, and butterflies can symbolize transformation, of course, and evolution. And a good message here for you is that you are about to flourish is something I'm getting for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising. I don't think you realize it. I feel like maybe you feel like you're stuck in the past, or maybe you feel like you're stuck in a cycle or like a loop, like something weird like that, or some type of karma like that. You're not. I feel like sometimes when all seems lost, that's when we evolve out of something. But I feel like you're about to evolve out of that, which is good here. Anything else with the King of Swords before we do something else here? Nope. They want me to pull the bottom of the deck here. I feel like I already did a reading where this came out, but whatever. 8 of Cups. It was a different reading, not here. Showing up here. This is like you're not being attached message. I don't think you need to walk away from everything, but I know this came through for the fire signs in some way, but I feel like you need to be willing to go on a journey and not stay stuck with these 8 cups. I feel like you have a lot with these 8 cups, whatever this is, but there's more. So don't stay stuck with what you have as this message. Like, you need to seek more in addition to this. I feel like in this particular message, he's not really losing these 8 cups. He just needs to go out and find more to add to it, because it's a lot, but it's like not enough in some ways, or it's not every single thing that this person wants. So I would go on a journey to find more for yourself, whether it's taking a new class or trying to manifest or bring in new friends or something like that. The good news is, like, there's this moon here on the top of the card right here. I feel like the moon's actually going away. I feel like you're afraid of a moon phase repeating. And by moon phase, what do I mean here? Something that's confusing, or maybe some of you feel like you're in this stuck loop of like confusion, or like this moon phase, or like things are not what they seem. You're not sure what's going on. You're not sure where to go, or things like that. But I do feel like that's leaving, like you're breaking that cycle, which is good. And it could even be with a particular person, like you're on and off again with a person is something I'm getting, or someone who keeps coming back around and around and around, and it's like the same story every time. And it doesn't have to be romantic. It could also be like a child that's asking for, like a son that's asking for money or something like that. Somewhere the cycle's about to break, which is maybe not the typical meaning of Eight of Cups, but if you haven't picked up on this, I just channel the messages and see what I'm getting. I don't really care about the typical meaning. Unless I'm guided to bring it through. So I'm going to close it there. Ox came through for the earth signs, but Ox is also showing up for you guys. I feel like you all guys also are stronger than you know. I feel like you need to own it and not see yourself as weak and helpless, but kind of pick yourself up. And yeah, aside from like being playful with life, and not in a super serious way, but some of you might need to face life head on in some ways. Not all of you. Okay, I don't feel like I said that perfectly, so I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure I get the right message for you and say it in the right ways, and just to help you out the most here. I'm hearing you're stronger than you know. Move forward is what I'm hearing with that. So hope that made sense, and I'm going to close it there. And I feel like every time I get to about this time, I get to the water signs, I just feel like this. It's not bad. I just feel like this. It's not a wall either. I don't know how to describe it, but or maybe it's one of you tuning in. I don't know, but I just feel like I'm hitting this something that's really potent. And I feel like it's actually me running into this because I've been doing this for as long as I have this round. I think maybe it's just about this time that I start hitting that phase. But it won't mess with the reading. So water signs, sun, moon, and rising. If you guys want, I can mute the mic. I just realized when I'm drinking water, so you don't have to listen to it, but it's up to you. Ooh, all right. Water signs, sun, moon, rising. They want me to give myself just like a minute here. Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you so much. Someone is texting me to let me know the reading resonated. So, perfect. So let me just... Okay, we're going to put the sign on the wall. And I'm going to take 2 seconds. I might just hang out with you guys. Drink water, be human. Thanks. That's my sign to give myself a couple minutes here. So we'll get to the water signs in like 2 minutes. So give me a second. By the way, I want to thank Rock and Robin for being here, and anyone else who's moderating I didn't see here yet. Big shout out to them for helping chat run smoothly and keeping you guys informed so I can focus on the reading. So thank you guys so much. Okay, now we're going to put the sign on the wall. I don't know why they keep telling me to hang out for 2 seconds. Lady Lethal, that name does not mean anything to me, but maybe to someone else it will. Okay, we're going to start. So water signs, sun, moon, or rising. They want me to pull a card from the Golden Tarot here. Ace of Swords coming out here. And what's the message here for you with the Ace of Swords? They're really highlighting the crown. They're really pointing my attention to the crown. They give me the word crown as well. I do feel like you're being crowned in some ways. I feel like you've been doing a good job. I feel like life, is going to reward you for that. So a good job in some area. Could be a relationship, could be a job, could be your work, could be anything, I suppose, that you're doing a good job with. But you're about to see just how good you've been doing. I don't like that grammar. How well you've been doing. I know the Oxford Dictionary changed it so you can say good instead of well now, but I still don't. I don't prefer it. But you're going to be seeing how well you've been doing is something I am getting. They're showing me these like the plants hanging off of the crown, and they're giving me the word decoration. Interestingly enough, they're not showing me. They're pointing my eyes to it. And it's almost like you being decorated, but it's by spirit, if that makes sense. Like, you know how army people, it's not about a battle or a war or anything, but army people get decorated or win medals or badges. It's like your work is earning you something, and spirit is decorating you, and other people may see it, and you may see it, but it's more in like spirit's realm, and it's more for you to figure out or experience. So I don't know how much more I'll talk about that unless they want me to here. I just feel like you're earning something important. So as far as like what the Ace of Swords means overall, besides those messages as well here, I am getting the words new opportunity coming in soon. I feel like you deserve this or you've earned it. They're showing me like a forge, like a blacksmith forge. And they were kind of showing me that when they said you earned that. But what's the message with the forge here? Perhaps you've been forging this opportunity. It's something you're creating for yourself, or someone's been forging it for you. But I'm also getting this message you're about to come out on top. It's just something they're jumping through as well. I'm also hearing you're about to win. So there's some type of victory or win coming in for you as well. Is something I'd say with that card. And that's all with the Ace of Swords. And another from this deck. I'm going to shuffle. Actually, sometimes like the same card comes out and I'm like, I don't want to read that, but then I go to put it away and they're like, that was the card. So the card that came out was the Hierophant. And as far as what the messages with the Hierophant were, and I know I'm not like shuffler pro over here. I feel like I'm good at everything with all this, maybe besides the shuffling the cards. Good or better, it's my intention. But Six of Wands, another card of victory and excellence and success. So that's clarification there. With the Hierophant here, I feel like you're going to be breaking the mold. They're showing me breaking the mold. One, I would break with tradition and do your own thing. I feel like you'll find a lot of success that way. I feel like that is the way for you. I feel like tradition leads to you like sinking or being underwater. It could be about business, by the way, with that sinking or being underwater. Or it could like... Weird message. Depending on your circumstances, you'll have to use your discernment on what this is talking about. For some of you, like if you go like too traditional, it could like tank a relationship, because it's like maybe it's someone who, this is not going to be all of you, by the way, but maybe it's someone who's like poly or a bit more like go with the flow, and trying to tie them down from the get-go is the wrong move is something I'm getting for like some of you. And don't freak out about your relationships, please. That was not for all of you. It was just something coming in. For others of you, it's like business, and it's like you need to forge your own path and like not listen to traditional advice, and like trust yourself and your intuition in forging your own path, because this came through in one of the last channels, like the full channel mode messages I was doing that I do at the end of these towards the end of these lives after these readings, where it's like new earth is here. And so like new ways are going to be emerging, like new pathways are going to be built, and the old world is crumbling. Like I'm getting this message, like if you haven't realized, like going to college and getting a degree doesn't always work as well. Well, depending on your field, yes, it's the move, but I don't want to dissuade you from the right moves for you. But in a lot of ways, it's not the move like for everyone, like it was maybe in like the 80s or 90s or 70s or whatever, whenever that was a good move. Like it doesn't pay off as much. You're loaded up with debt typically, depending on how you go about it. And sure, there's smarter ways to go about it too, but that's just, you know, like there's new ways that are going to be forged. And like one thing that reminded me of and showing me, like if you know Gary Vee, he talks about social media and stuff a lot. He's definitely not like a spiritual. He might be spiritual in his own ways. And I'm kind of, my body pendulum's leaning to know. So whatever. He talks about like business and success and social media and stuff. And he kind of talks about this message of how like a lot of people who are younger are like opting for like, you know, let's build a TikTok or a YouTube and make my 50, 60, 70 or way more $1,000 a month that way, instead of getting a job that kind of sucks and you have to deal with like toxic bosses or whatever. he's like, that's going to become more common, not less. Like there's more options available, and that's going to keep going is something I'm getting. Like there's not going to be less options. There might be like ebb and flow to it, but there's not going to be less options in the future. For the most part, there's going to be more things opening up for people. And I know that's like just an example. That's not literally the message they want me to say for all of you. It's more just like, there might be non-traditional ways that work way better than traditional ways. And now that the energetics and energy pathways for that are opening up in the collective, both on the intuitive levels and the higher realms. I don't know if I like the word realms, because it's like it's all one, like source is all of it. What's with these realms? But that's just words humans use. In the higher realms, I guess it's just a way to distinguish things, but it's just like kind of all over the place. So not like, sorry, gonna rewind just a second here. These new pathways are showing up everywhere is something I'd say. So non-traditional might be the way to go for you in a lot of areas, if not every area. Next message here, one more card here. The sun, hey, we just shuffled too. The sun coming out for you guys. I feel like this is where you're headed. I'm getting the word like glory. And the word glory is on the bottom of the card, actually, attainment and glory. I feel like the next year for you guys, I'm a little bit hesitant on this message. They're a little bit hesitant on this message. So I feel like I need to balance it, because it's not the total, there's like more to the picture, but I feel like this is a big card for you for next year. And if you're seeing this next year, because I'm filming this in 2022, December, it's like for you, the rest of like 2023. And if you're watching it way in the future, it's for you whatever next year is for you, I guess, is what I'd say, or the rest of this year. Sorry. But for you guys now, and for whoever's watching it now or in the future, the message for you besides all this is a big phase coming in for you. I feel like a lot of you feel like you've already had your sun phase, but I feel like you've had like half of a sun phase. It's like you haven't had the full sun. I feel like also next year, like the sun will be balanced with like maybe some moon phases or some other flavors to the sun. Because, the sun doesn't always come out alone. Sometimes the sun comes out in a larger, like if I were to do a tarot spread, there'd be a larger context that the sun was sitting within. If that makes sense. So there is still going to be like different flavors of this card and this energy that show up for you throughout the year. But we had Six of Wands. We had this message of like wins and victories. We had the sun popping out here. So all of it's looking really positive for you guys. I would keep going that direction. I feel like whatever you're doing is working also. So let's keep moving here. Next message here. One of the first things they showed me was, they showed me an anchor next. They love this pirate ship analogy for the water signs. I don't know, but they're showing me this anchor. It's attached to a pirate ship, which was another message as well. One message is to not cling to things that are anchoring you. And what do I mean by that? If you notice something is holding you back, don't cling to it out of familiarity. I would let go of it and see what shows up to replace it. And sometimes we have something that's helping us move forward in life. We're flowing with it. And then all of a sudden something shifts, or we graduate in some way in life, and that old thing becomes an anchor. So pay attention to that. If something was helping you a lot before, but now it's an anchor, you don't need to stick with it. You can graduate from it and move on and do something better for you that suits you now. And it's kind of about evolution. It's like, we aren't all still fish swimming in the ocean. We've evolved to have hands and thumbs and breathe air, and we still need to drink water and stuff, but we don't need to like cling to our gills, or we didn't need to cling to some of the aspects of those animals that maybe wouldn't serve the modern day person walking around on Earth. So what do you need to evolve away from that's an anchor for you is one of my questions for you right now. They're also showing me kelp. We're on the water analogy kick, so let's keep going with it. So what's up with these kelp? So they're showing me someone who's swimming, and then one thing that how sometimes you'll be swimming. I need to stay with it just a second longer to get the full message, so I get this right here. So this person is swimming. There's in the visual, and it's like they're not actually trapped by kelp. They're not actually tangled in the kelp, but they like think they are. So they start like flailing and freaking out. They really just need to swim out of it and like stop freaking out. So I feel like if you're freaking out about anything right now, you probably don't need to freak out about it. I feel like it's an easy change or an easy fix to something I'm getting. And yeah, that's just something they're showing me, interestingly enough. So now to pirate ship, they gave me the phrase "no one can steal from you." I feel like it's about ideas. Whereas like if they do, it will backfire. I heard one reader say that. It was some really random reader on TikTok, and I don't know who or when they were. I think I just scrolled past it. But they're bringing those words back around for me to say to you right now. This was like a while ago, but it's like I feel like if someone steals from you an idea, like it'll backfire. And so okay, like an idea. Anything else on this one? I feel like you're protected from theft as well. I feel like people can't steal from you is like a message I'm getting. And on what level this is, I feel like it's on any level that resonates. So keep that in mind. Sorry, my nose is running and I don't have tissues. So hope that didn't gross you out. But next message here, yeah, it could be energetic, could be physical. I don't feel like it is totally energetic though, which is interesting. So next message here, water gun, is what they showed me. It was, the word they gave me was like fun, go out and have fun. Some of you might have been working too hard is something I'm getting, and it's time for fun. Maybe some of you, well, what's the best way to round this out here? Some of you might need to keep working hard, but I would be balancing that with fun, or be going out and having fun in some way that works for you. And if some of you need to work harder, which is very few of you, like listen to your gut on that. But most of you need to have fun and balance out your life. And you know, there's that reminder, like we're only here for a certain amount of time, right, on Earth. Excuse me. And you know, I think we can know what I like to intend and say is we can know anything. But, you know, sometimes we might know, like, yeah, I know I'm not going to die for the next set amount of time. My guides are telling me I know I'm good. But sometimes we don't, you know, sometimes we don't have that information. So enjoy your life. Like, if I'm not saying you're going to die soon or anything like that, but wouldn't you rather go out having had experiences that you'd want to have and enjoying your life as you go and enjoying the journey instead of trying to get to this fixed destination? And I don't know, maybe you make it, maybe you don't make it to that destination before you go. But that being said, like, if you're not enjoying the journey, like, what are you doing? And I know we go through times of grief, we go through times of transformation, we go through these other experiences as well. But it's important you're enjoying the journey is what I want to say. Because otherwise, why are you here? And yes, I know we have other soul missions and stuff, but I just remember there's like a lot of quotes that are coming into me and stories I want to share. One was like a thing from Lee Harris and his guides, the Z's that he channeled. And would it be for asking me to share this story? They're like, yeah, but it's not the message. So I'll say it because I'm already on this track. But I remember one thing his guys brought through, it was like a Q&A he was doing on like his podcast, I think, or something. And he was kind of talking about how like one thing that the soul would wonder as it's leaving the body a lot of times is, why didn't I experience more joy while I was on Earth, or something like that? Or it's like, why wasn't I in more joy more of the time? So joy is important, I suppose. I also like just remember quotes from other people. It's like, you know, one of the things we're here to do is like enjoy this life and the delicious things it has to offer, and not to a point where it's self-destructive or harmful. But, you know, I don't know if that's the truth, and it doesn't have to be your truth, but I feel like it's helpful to at least entertain that perspective to balance out some of the seriousness or not enjoying your life that's going on. The other message that I wanted to talk about was, and maybe I missed the boat on when I should have talked about it. But I remember one time, it wasn't an actual near-death experience where like where like something happened and I was like, you know, they had to bring me back or anything like that. But it was like, it was almost like I could have died experience. And I remember, I was like driving this truck for this company I used to work for. I was delivering conveyor belts, way back, early 20s. And there was this huge, like some of the because you know where you deliver conveyor belts are like quarries and like mines, and like they have these gigantic front loaders where like the wheel is like the size of your F-150 pickup truck or whatever, or some, maybe I'm slightly exaggerating, but not really. And there was this front loader who was on this icy road leaving this quarry, and there was this front loader with a huge bucket of snow in front of it. So the operator, it didn't seem, could really see where it was going. And as I was leaving, this front loader gets this huge scoop of snow and backs out and starts driving towards me. And I was way too close for comfort, where I had to like stop my car, throw it in reverse, and start like Indiana Jones my way back down this icy road with like huge snowbanks on either side. So I couldn't really like pull off out of the way because the road was so thin and the snowbanks were so high. And I'm just going to set the intention, only energies that are for the highest good to go to you regarding this story. And so I was like getting ready to like, and I was like on a call with like one of the get that out of here, that energy, on like with one of the salesmen, and he was like yelling at me about something or other, and like this front loader's like barreling down on me, like about to like crush my truck with me in it. And I'm like, okay, what are my options? I can open the door and jump out. I can just keep driving backwards, but there's like a turn in the road, so I need to be careful there. And the one thought that popped into my head, the reason I'm telling this story in this context, is like, it was so, the one thought that was like really hitting me as I was like, oh, I could die here, was like, I should have had my morning coffee. And if you don't know, I love coffee. I love my morning coffee. It's one of my favorite things to wake up to and get to, and I hadn't had it that morning. So that's why I'm bringing this story in with Enjoy Your Life, is like when I was about to potentially die, my thought was, oh, I should have had my morning coffee. Like that would have been great. But I don't know. Let's move on to the next message. I didn't mean to go into story land here, but so any energies that brought up not for the highest good to be part of that, angels for the highest good, please remove that and bring in the highest and best energies to replace it, and let's move forward. Let's give that a second. I think I'm going to drink my coffee. So next message here. There was a quick message that you are healing deeply. I feel like this is at your roots. I feel like this is also ancestral. I feel like I've said this to you before, but I feel like you're almost there. I feel like this end of the year is the wrap up for you. If you're watching this in 2023, I'm filming this in 2022, you're almost to the wrap up is what I'd say. And that's one of the messages that came through. They showed me a rubber duck and Sesame Street with Bert and Ernie. And you know that song where it's like, rubber ducky, you're the one, or whatever that they sing. Why is this showing up though? I just feel like you guys need goofiness like that is kind of what I'm getting. I don't know, go sing a goofy song or something like that. I also just think the universe wants to bring you fun and lighthearted things. I think you need to allow it, is something I'm getting, whether it's goofing off with a friend or whatever. Maybe not during something where that's not an appropriate time for that, but you know. The next message I have, well, what else is going on with this rubber duck here? They're showing you on this rubber duck. It's like a giant rubber duck, and you're like almost like headed out to sea. And the words I'm getting with this sea is sea of opportunities. Interestingly enough, I feel like you're headed towards that right now. All you see is like, I'm going to have to take a second to connect the dots with this message a little bit more, because the way they're phrasing it is like, right now, all you see is like a rubber duck in a bathtub, or it's like, maybe you feel like it's like if you were in like a giant bathtub and a rubber duck, there's not anywhere to go. Like you're stuck in the confines of the bathtub. But what you don't see is like this, it's similar to like the fire sign. So this must just be a common energy happening for people right now, but it's like they're showing this rubber duck going through a portal, and then it's in the sea of opportunity, and all of a sudden like the world is your oyster. And that's what's coming in for the water signs, is like that kind of a big transition, almost in fate is something they're showing me, or maybe it's fated, where it's like, that's kind of what happens. I don't feel like you are confined. I think you think you are confined. And that's why that visual is showing up that way, is like, you don't see the sea of opportunities coming in, or that you're even in right now and you're just refusing to take the blinders off for some reason. But that's something that's coming in as well, interestingly enough. I do feel like the other message that came through was like, they just gave me the words a new way. And sometimes we have a way of being, but it gets replaced with a better one. I feel like that's what's happening as well. What's an example of this? Or that would have pertained to you or help you the most to hear, if any. They're kind of showing like a knight in shining armor, but he's like in modern times and his ways of being don't like fit anymore. Like he's trying to be like a chivalrous knight and find the I don't know, go on noble quests for his lord or something. But it's kind of like he actually needs to get a job in an office building and like work and do his job, but he's trying to like chop off people's heads and protect the dynasty or something. I'm getting weird messages like that. So I feel like you're kind of realizing certain ways of being might not, it's a little bit different for each of you, but some of you are realizing different ways of being might not be working for you and kind of replacing them with new ones instead of having the outdated ones. And I think sometimes we're taught to be a certain way by parents or teachers that just doesn't work in the modern world or with how things actually work. And it's we can forgive them. They were probably doing the best they knew how, or maybe we misinterpreted something, but I feel like you're learning better and you need to go with that and not honor your parents' suffering by playing out the same stories, or not honor what your teachers said because they said it and they were really cool or whatever. I think we need to do what works, and that's the way, is something I'd say. And I feel like you're graduating to that is the way I'm hearing this. Going on with that knight message here, I do feel like some of you need to take the armor off emotionally and kind of shed that, or shed the skin metaphorically that's wearing the armor. I think it's overdue, and it's kind of like what's the best way to say this? I just feel like it doesn't fit anymore. I feel like it's not needed. You either need new updated armor that's actually warranted and for the highest good, or you don't need armor at all. I'm not saying not to have whatever energetic protection you put in place or whatever. It's more metaphorical for emotions and the way you're operating in the world is something I'd say. So keep that in mind as well. They're showing me a gemstone, but it's like a power gem. It's like you could whip out some like magic with this gemstone for this next message. They're showing like you with a lot of your old tools, and it's like your old tools are like worn thin. So if you're doing something that's not working anymore, I would start doing something else or find new tools, or they're going to be presented like now or very soon as something I'm getting to replace old tools. And you need to go with like the new ways and the new tools, and not try to keep making the old tools work is something I'm getting. And that can play out in a lot of different ways for each of you. We're going to pull a card. Give me 1 second. Page of Swords coming out for the water signs here. I kind of feel like you need to move away from this energy, like move away from people who are immature, move away from people who are trying to direct you when they don't know what they're talking about. It's because they're showing like this page, the page. It's like a kid with a sword, and he's like, you need to go over there and fight that orc. And you're like, that's a tree. And I need to get to work. I can't fight a fake orc that's a tree, right now. So don't listen to people who who've been steering you in the wrong direction is something I'm getting over and over again. You need to listen to yourself, or listen to people who are right for you. And there are like certain people who want to be in charge, whether it's over you or others or just in general, and they will throw their weight around. They'll think they are right 6 ways from Sunday. Could be a manager at a job is one. It could be something else for others of you though. It's just like they're not right, and so just pay attention to that and don't listen to those people, I guess you could say. Some people just want to be in a position of authority without knowing what that entails. Don't listen to those people is what I'd say. Anything else with the Page of Swords? We're pulling a different card here. Strength card coming out. Perseverance through all is the phrase that comes along with it. And I do feel like you're going to overcome something with ease. I don't really feel like you need to worry about this card. It's just coming out to say you are going to overcome, or is what I'm hearing. And Death card coming out here. Transformation is what I'm getting. With the card, this is not the normal meaning, but with the flag here, I'm also getting the word standing for something. I would make sure you're standing up for yourself first and foremost as a quick message coming through, and your values, and kind of like with that Page of Sword message with someone directing you in the wrong way. Just because someone else says something's okay doesn't always mean it is, or doesn't always mean it's right for you. like you might have someone come up to you and tell you like it's okay to just spout random crap on YouTube, but then like your spirit guides would be like, absolutely not. You have a responsibility here. So it's like you gotta stand for something. It's something and keep standing for something. I also feel like this Death Rider on the card is not out for you. He's here for certain things around you, like maybe certain. I'm not saying people are going to die, but certain people in your life, certain circumstances that need to go. So you might be afraid that like something bad is coming for you, but I feel like this is more of an omen for things around you that need to go. And I feel like their days are numbered, is what I'd say, whether it's people or places or things. So anyone who's been causing you trouble, gotta go, is what I'm getting. So that's it. I'm gonna close the reading there. I suppose if there was one more message, they showed me this like book with a crescent moon on it. Interestingly enough, I don't know what this is. I'm getting a quick message for you guys to like learn how to, or sit with, or look into potentially learning how to read yourself and your energies and what you need. That's just going to take you so much further than you realize. And we can't always depend on others all the time to steer our ship, is what I'm getting. And sure, there are going to be dependable people out there who are reliable, who are accurate, who are helpful. But I'm just getting this message like you need to learn how to do it for yourself as well. And that's going to be very helpful for you down the road for at least the water signs tuning in here. But I'm going to close the reading there. And my computer's about to run out of battery, so perfect timing. I hope that was anything else. I feel like I need one more card. So I have this Lightworker Oracle card deck here. I didn't always like vibe with this deck for whatever reason. And I have the book. I hate reading the books. I would rather just channel the messages here. But first ray of power showing up for you here, water signs. What I'm hearing first and foremost is you don't realize how powerful you are. Like this woman on the card, she has an angel wing. She's all cosmic and up in by the planets and stuff. She creates a lot of her reality and circumstances. What I'm hearing is you're about to realize how much you create. And I'm also hearing like she's holding that sun. It's like you hold the power. And I just feel like you don't realize it. And I just feel like you need to realize it is kind of what I'm hearing, like in your life. You hold the power of choice. You hold the power of creation. You hold the power of directing your life. So don't let people like take this power. I know like the first message for you was like people can't steal from you, but don't let people take this power or convince you that they have it and you don't, or convince you can't do things for yourself. You kind of need to wield your power for yourself for the better is what I'm getting here. Obviously, anything else on this? Just realize you're powerful and you're going to be shown that. And the one more message for you. So I do feel like a lot of you are light workers is what I'd say. I mean, it doesn't surprise me if you're here. I think that term is a bit interesting. I've said this before, but to me, I feel like it's more important to actually be something than to be wrapped up in the title. So for me, it's like being something first, title second. So I'd rather like be the essence of what a light worker is, and then other people just, they can call me that or call me something else that means that thing, more than I'd like scramble to only maintain the image of being a light worker, if that makes sense. Kind of same with like being a Reiki master. Like I'd rather be like really good at what I do with Reiki than like have the image of being a Reiki master, but sucking, at the same time, if that makes sense. Or it's like, people who like, they're wrapped up in like being a healer and they're like, I'm a healer. And it's like all about this like term, but it's like, what are you actually doing for people? Like, are you actually facilitating healing and what's for the highest good? Or are you wrapped up in this image? Or same with, I don't know, I could go on and on and on with different examples that people do. It's like when people call themselves the CEO of their company, but it's like, like I'm the CEO of XYZ, but they bring in like negative income and I don't know, they don't really actually have something going. They're just trying to present themselves as that. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's my own tirade. I didn't need to get into that, but I did. So I'm sorry. Let's move on. I feel like I haven't got all the messages for the water signs yet, though. I feel like we're still needing something here. So what else needs to come through here? I do feel like good luck is coming in, which is good. They're showing me a cricket and just saying good luck is coming in. And I'm just going to close it there because they're showing me the end reading visual and saying to close it there. So, hope you guys are doing great and feeling good. Hope that resonated and made sense. I know I went on like story mode that whole reading, but hopefully that was entertaining or helpful regardless. Okay. So they're saying I need to do a channel. So if you are not, I'm going to drink water first. If you're not familiar, I pretty much always do a full channel mode message following these readings, and I go full channel mode and channel my spirit guides, true angels of the joyous light, true highest and most infinite source to bring through the messages for you. I just step out of the way and let them speak through me, essentially. And so if you need a name, my guides gave me the name for them, the Angelic Collective of Zorbital. And I know if you've been watching my lives a lot, you know I say this every time, so thanks for being patient. But anyone new, that's if you need a name, that's what they gave me as a name for them. And before that, they were like, we don't have names up here. I'm like, I know, it's just, but then they gave me one. So I don't know how important that is, by the way, but some people are like, who do you channel? Who do you channel? I'm like, well, I channel spirit guides and source and stuff. So, give me they're like, you don't need a second, you need to jump in. So that's what I need to do. That's what I'm going to do here. Usually they'll give me a theme for the channel before I get into it. So as far as a theme for this channel here, they're like, just delve in and we'll tell them. So, okay, we'll see what happens. So I'm going to give me like a minute. I'm going to start coughing. They'll start laughing and then the channel will start. And maybe I should jump into this faster instead of going on my spiel every time. But, oh well, give me 2 seconds and I just need to sit with this for a second. Welcome to this channel today, and we are glad you are joining us. Give us 1 second to settle in. And we will talk about the gold of you first. You may have heard the terminology false idols in religion, and we are not about to get religious on you. If anything, we would say you should connect directly with spirits, and many of you would do better to eschew religion, not go along with it, and to get connected for yourselves, for that is where your power lies. That is where the gold of you is in your soul and your connection and your intuition, because that is what will lead you in the proper ways in your life. A lot of people would sell you beliefs, their way, you could say, their religious beliefs, their what they think, perhaps for their own validation, for their own ego needs, or for control over the population. But that is not the way, and that is not what would empower the people or empower you, and it is not what an empowered people looks like. An empowered people looks more like a people who are connected, who are aware of their value and their power, who are interconnected and see the interconnection of all things so that they help one another and live in connection and harmony instead of sort of like a beehive is an example we could provide for that. The bees tend to live in harmony. They tend to have signals and know what the other is doing or have methods of doing that work for them so that the bee colony or beehive does not collapse. Because one bee starts doing this thing that's destructive, this other bee starts doing this selfish thing. They all work together for the co-creation of safety and harmony and survival of the species and the hive, you could say. We're not calling humans a hive, though some spiritual teachers would use that example, because you are all interconnected and there is a consciousness source governing a lot of human interaction on the deeper levels, if you will get in tune. And many things would fall into place if you all got connected for yourselves and heeded your own divine guidance and intuition on what your puzzle piece was, what you were here for, instead of following the crowd and getting factory jobs is an example we could give, working 9 to 5. And there's nothing wrong with those things. Some of you are exactly where you need to be when you're in those positions. But that's going away, or will in the future. Maybe not exactly tomorrow. But in the future, things are going to be a little bit different. People won't be so corralled into their offices, their forced positions that college put them in, that their parents put them in, because people are going to be more in tune with what the collective needs. And you running your life and doing what you're divinely guided to do would naturally put you into the place you need to be so that the collective can flourish and so that you can flourish. A lot of the distortions in life exist because people are not following their intuition or their connection. They're not working in harmony and co-creation with the all. They are forcing their goals. They are trying to attempt certain egoic things at the expense of others. And of course, that is all going away. You are healing from that. And where is that inside of you? We are not blaming you for this. Of course, you came in with the pre-programming of your genetics, so to speak, which you can change. You can grow and adapt and evolve. We are not sticking you. We are simply making you aware that not all of it is your fault. For yes, you choose your parents, you choose to be incarnate, you choose your first path in life. You come in with soul missions and blueprints and all these terms to help you to recognize you have choice, you have power. You chose this. But at the same time, once you incarnate and you're in the, as some people would call it, amnesia of being incarnate, you have all these stories that people sell you, beliefs, religion, ancestral traumas, ancestral beliefs, things passed down through genetics, your genetic programming that ensures the survival of the species that's been honed in over millennia and millennia, thousands of years, millions even. That's not your fault, so to speak, as you, the being incarnate, you and your body. That's what you inherited. That's what you're working with. There's nothing wrong with doing the best with what you inherited in life. And so many of you beat up on yourself thinking it's all your fault, it's all your fault, it's all your fault. But is it? No. There are patterns at play that are unwinding. There are things that are being healed. And everything's going exactly how it needs to. But that does not mean everything as it is now, or the way things have been, is exactly what will be perfect for the future as things evolve and as things begin to click into place a little bit more, which is part of what this channel is about, is getting things to click in place for you a bit more so you're more aligned and you're ready to fulfill the mission that you came here for, the puzzle piece you're here to play. You are a puzzle piece in a collective game. And yes, at the same time, you're all of it. We do not mean to disempower. That is never the mission of us or anyone doing this work. But you are about to click into place. That is what these next few years on Earth are about for this collective. So how can you play your role in a better way? Not the role of Cindy from down the street, not the role of Bob in HR, not the role of Alex in accounting, not the role of this one sitting in a chair, channeling spirit guides for you, channeling source, channeling angels. What is your role? And your role may very well involve channeling for others, by the way. We're not trying to dissuade you from that. Follow your mission, whatever it is, whether it looks similar to this or other people or not. For it is unique to you, whether it looks similar or not. But that's for you to discern. That is why we are telling you not to give your power away directly, verbally, but also energetically with this message. Because you are the gold. Your connection is the gold. If you were to get connected for yourself, you wouldn't need anyone else to direct your puzzle piece. And yes, in some ways you are interdependent with one another, as we've stated. The chef needs the farmer, needs the animals. The businessman needs the chef to cook lunch for the businessman because the businessman is busy and needs to focus on business. That's his role. But the chef playing the chef's role is the perfect puzzle piece to help the rest of the world out. Because there are people who have contributed to your life that you have never acknowledged, more than likely, that you don't realize have contributed, Perhaps by putting an item on a shelf in a grocery store, or by cooking you a meal that you ordered to go. And we're not trying to call you bad for not acknowledging this. We are pointing your awareness to it so you can be thankful for your role. We're not relegating you to the place of a role you don't want, such as putting items on a shelf. We're not saying that has to be your role. We're just saying it's all interconnected and your role matters, which is why we want you to get in tune with you. So what else is the gold that you are? And we're not talking about self-worship or anything like that, but you are valuable. You would not be here if you were not valuable. All on earth are valuable. Otherwise, they would not exist. All on earth have a role to play. So what is your value? And you may get that intuitively as we speak. It may just be a question for you to munch on, depending on where you are with your intuition and what you are able to receive right now. And what else would we like to talk about today? Let's talk about celebration. You are ready to celebrate you, because that helps to bring out the gold even more, the value even more, the way you value yourself even more. Celebrating yourself is a way to tell the universe, hey, I'm honoring myself, bring me good things. It may not always work like that directly right away, but you are telling the universe you're ready to receive that celebration, ready to receive you. And so many of you don't even receive yourselves. You receive only an image of perfection, otherwise it's not good enough. You receive what other people tell you about yourself instead of what's actually there. Which brings us back to the message of getting in tune. But what are ways you could celebrate yourself right now? Why don't you buy your favorite food for yourself? And just tell yourself, yes, I deserve this. I celebrate myself with this food. And sit with that food and be present with it. Enjoy it. Buy yourself your favorite drink. Go out and party by yourself. We're not saying to go get too drunk. And if you are under the legal drinking age for your jurisdiction, of course, heed that. We are not telling you to break the law. Go drink some Kool-Aid. Not the cult Kool-Aid. Go drink something you enjoy that you can drink. There's no Kool-Aid here, by the way. You can take this or leave it. And if you were to honor yourself and celebrate yourself and see yourself as the gold you were, you would never get in a place anyone could hand you that negative Kool-Aid in the first place, because you'd be honoring your intuition and your true self. And where can you let go of the Kool-Aid normal society is handing you every day? It could be the Kool-Aid of all women or men cheat. It could be the Kool-Aid that you're not good enough. It could be the Kool-Aid you can't survive on your own with a business. You're not worthy of your role. And we just wish to make you aware of it. So what is your job? Sit intuitively with us for a second. And you do not have to get anything, but if you do, perfect. Ask your soul, and you can write this out. You can just get into a meditative state or just ask your soul. And those of you who channel are ready to do this, just ask your soul, what is your job on earth right now? And see what you get. That is going to start to steer you in the next direction for you. What is your job right now? And for those of you who do not get anything, do not fret. Do not worry. That can be spelled out for you in other ways. Through synchronicity and signs. Could be an intuition you receive later on. So if you do not get anything right now, see what shows up in your life in the months ahead. where maybe you get the knowing of what your job is. Perhaps someone synchronistically says something that sparks the knowing for you, or sparks the realization. But that's you owning that job, whatever you get, moving towards that. It's going to help you open up and honor the gold of you, honor your role, and bring in the abundance that's for you as well. As honoring that role that spirit gave you, which is something you would more than likely be overjoyed with, by the way, is not a task a mule is given to pull a cart unless that mule was to receive great joy in pulling that cart. Your soul incarnated for a reason. It's going to feel more joy with it than anything else, even if there are challenges. But the message we really wish to leave you with is to head towards the gold of you. And the energetics of this channel are to open that up. The channel transmission is to unveil that and bring that out more. Because each of you is a golden being. You do not need to get wrapped up in the mind with that message. Feel the energy of that phrase. You are a golden being. You are a golden being. You are a golden being. You are not necessarily flesh and blood. You are gold. You are not a loser or any other title anyone has handed you. You are gold. And we're not trying to do a King Midas here. We're not physically calling you gold. It's energetic. We leave you with that energetic transmission. May the highest and best to transpire, and know that you are gold. If we could hammer anything into you right now, we would hammer into you that you are enough, and you are more than you realize. You are so much more than you realize. And if you could own that, everything would change. Everything on earth, everything in your physical circumstances. So one of the best things you could do with that is sit with that now, because that's what's unveiling. We leave you now. Farewell. And take care. Okay, well, I hope that was good. It helped you. Okay, and so we're probably going to close the live soon, following all that. Love that so much. Perfect. I'm glad to hear it. The Kool-Aid joke was awesome. Awesome. Ooh, all right. Water. Hey, you're so welcome. Thanks, Angie Z. That was a beautiful message. Perfect. I'm glad to hear it. Okay, I'm spacing out. Sometimes after those... I'll never forget, one time after a channel, I think... I almost forgot I was live. I think I saw a comment and I went to it was something that I needed to moderate. And I just forgot I was live almost and just pulled the phone off the hinges and started doing things. I'm like, oh wait, I can't just do that. I'm live. But no wonder the guide sent me Golden by Harry Styles this week. There you go. I love that. I love that synchronicity. Okay, guys, who to be for Thanksgiving? Do anything else here for this live? I'm going to close the live here. I might hang out for just a second. I suppose I could self-promote. I do tend to do one-on-one readings. Right now my scheduler is not, I need to open more days for that, so it might not be open for that. I am going to be scheduling potentially some more energy work, like Reiki classes and 4 Angelic Fires classes for January. And February, plug the book. Okay. Spirit Guides, Angels, and Speaking with Source. I do have a book that I channeled in like 2020. And it's buried, so it's hard for me to unbury it and show you, but it's kind of like golden. There's like a blue symbol on the front. It's in my Linktree if you scroll down a little bit, but that's available. It's kind of about how to channel or how to start channeling was my intention. A lot of it's about the energies of the book as well, but it's what I don't know, it seems to be helping people, so that's what matters. Your book was helpful? Perfect. So my intention is that it just does whatever is for the highest good for each of you, and whoever reads it, and does the highest and best for it to do for the highest good. It's a very good read. Perfect. I'm so glad to hear it. And then I have a membership that I launched a couple months ago, and it's just right now it's all like channeled content. So there's like the channel I just did at the end of this live, there's like longer versions of that I'll, film and then provide for the members every month. And then certain levels will get like a channel guided meditation as well. That's longer. And then there's weekly channel timeless readings. So if you're interested, that's on my website. Yes, the book is an energetic tool. Just reading it as an uplift. Yeah, that's exactly what it does too, which is awesome. So, and that's exactly why I can't get it for you guys right now, is because like I use it like an energetic tool. So I'll put like my water and like my coffee on it and like crystals on it, and so it's hard to like unbury. But thank you guys for encouraging me to promote the book and everything. And thank you, Rock and Robin, for telling people. That means a lot and helps me out a lot too. So thank you so much. But that's it. Anything else I need to talk about? Or maybe I'll just hang out for a second, because I haven't hung out with you guys for a while, besides like doing the readings. And I don't know. The one thing I miss with the way I've been doing the lives recently is getting to interact with you guys, like with the comments more, or in the chat more. Because I always love getting to chat with you guys. Thank you so much. Delightful read and channel. What a great energy. Thank you so much, Jess. Janak, if I'm reading that correctly, I really appreciate it. So how am I? What's new? I'm doing well. I moved recently, and that's going well. I definitely feel good about that. I feel like I've been transitioning my business a bit, but that's a whole... They want me to keep that hush, so I won't talk about that too much. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a lot that's coming to mind to talk about right now, actually, even though I said let's hang out. Love you, Brandon. Perfect again. Thanks so much, Marina. So good to see you. So glad to hear it. Thank you. I tell everyone about you. Congrats on your move. That means so much, little snap crackle. Thank you so much. That means the world. I just found you today. Instant. And I thank you, Harkin. I really appreciate it. I'm glad. That means a lot. How do we connect with you? What do you mean, like for readings or for anything? I mean, if you go to my website through the link tree in bio, that's the best way to... I don't think I have any slots open for readings right now, but that's the best way to probably get in contact or book anything, is what I'd say. Oh, also, never mind. I was going to say something, but they don't want me to. This was amazing. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. I am doing well. Thank you, Molly. I hope you're well as well. Okay, they want me to close the live. I know that wasn't much of a hangout. I'm sorry. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week and rest of your day here. I'll see you next week, next Sunday. I'll probably be on at like 11:30 North American Central Time. I just feel like I know it keeps kind of pushing back a little bit, but it helps me with the way my schedule works to be able to get up and like prep. And so I'll say that. Okay. I love you guys. I'm sending so much love. It is such an honor to get to do this. You guys rock. And you guys always blow me away with how cool you guys are in the comments. And I just so appreciate all the feedback you give. And thank you so much for letting me know that these, resonate and are helpful. And it's always, and yeah, all the thank yous. Thank you. So I appreciate you guys in the highest and best ways. And I'm sending love. Okay, you guys, thank you, Rock and Robin, by the way, and any other moderators I didn't catch. And you guys have a great rest of your week.